Welcome to my channel. Leah Parsons coming in from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And although I started my channel probably for this intent maybe a month or two ago, I thought I would come in and do a little bit of a longer introduction of why I'm doing this YouTube channel and what I hope for all of you watching to gain from the weekly videos I'll be doing. So I find that there's a lot of people struggling in life, and not just during COVID times, but just in general, just trying to do the best they can while masking a lot of pain that sits just underneath the surface. Because I haven't met many people who haven't had trauma in their life, whether it's a lot of small traumas that have added up to make us feel fearful, afraid, or just a sense of not feeling good enough underneath the surface. Or maybe there's some big traumas that happened in life. So my intention with this channel is to give you snippets and tips and tools and practices from a mind, body, soul perspective, because I do believe that we are our own gurus. I believe we have a strong inner guidance system, strong intuition, and I do believe that it's hard to access it when we're caught up in our pain stories, when we're caught up in our survival mechanisms, when our nervous system is on fight and flight easily and readily. And when we can't find the way through it and we get comfortable in our uncomfortableness, we get comfortable in the pain of our life that sits under the surface. So I've been there. I've been there for many, many times, and most of my life actually, where I've healed a little bit, but it was still that core wound. Those core wounds were just sitting there, and I just couldn't get past it. And to be honest, I think there's a responsibility in wanting to heal. So we might say we want to heal, and oh, I've tried this and I've tried that, but it takes a big why we want to heal. It takes a commitment, and it takes us stepping out of our comfort zone and wanting to take responsibility for our own healing. So I know deep down, if I was radically honest with myself many years ago, that there was that sense of resistance to the responsibility it would take to really move through it. And I do believe we're all born at this time in this place for a reason. We don't have to know our big purpose, because life will show us where we're supposed to go. We don't have to know the big picture of how we're going to heal, but we have to trust that we're going to take steps towards healing. Because I know for me, looking at a big picture of this is what I want to be and how I want life to be, and getting there just seems so huge. So I think it's safer just to play small and to have a life that's good enough where when my traumas or when I'm triggered comes to the surface, I can do those few little coping mechanisms and patch it up and then go on until that happens again. But often what happens, we're disassociated from our life. We're watching it like a movie going by, but we're not in it. We're not feeling it with the mind, the body, the spirit. So that's what I'm hoping to inspire all of you to want to move towards. And I know you can. And thankfully, life showed up and showed me the way forward. And it wasn't one big thing. But if we show up in our life and we commit to ourselves, which takes radical self-compassion, and most people don't have that. But when you find the truth of what you're hiding from, when you allow your shame to come out of the closet, and when you really want to know the way forward, it will be shown to you. So that's why I want to inspire people, because I see too many people trapped in their pain life kind of just holding them in a fear. And so a little bit of my past, I'll show you, I'll share a little bit of my past with you, to just so that you can understand that there is a way. I spent most of my life searching for answers, searching for ways to make me feel better. Read all the self-help books. I wrote in diaries since I was 5 years old, really wondering why do I feel these things? I had lots of trauma. I was adopted at birth. That's a trauma. I was sexually molested by my uncle for years. I was raped more than once. The first time when I was 14. And so I just bandaged and coped, and I was strong and I was resilient, and I could show up. And I had this toughness. I had this disconnect that was keeping me away from my heart. So I would end up in these self-fulfilling prophecies, in these bad relationships, in these situations that made me feel worse about myself. And then there it was just this is my life, this is what I deserve. But knowing deep down that there was more. Knowing deep down that there was my soul kind of telling me to do something else, but I was ignoring it. And knowing deep down that I was actually a really good person. And I was just trying to fumble my way through. So I read all the self-help books. And then, of course, we heal little bits and pieces of ourselves along the way, because we do develop resiliency. We do develop coping mechanisms, and we do kind of get these kind of accolades and accomplishments in life. But if we're not truly healed, those accomplishments, we will get them, and then we feel kind of let down. Have you noticed that? We get them and we're like, I strive for those university degrees, and then I got them. And it's like, so what? So now I got them. Even though those were big accomplishments. So I dropped out of high school when I was 16, really traumatized, trying to numb out, trying not to feel. I was a bartender for many years, so I have lots of experience in kind of some interactions with human behavior. And then when my daughter, my first daughter, came along when I was 29, by that time I had a lot of things kind of figured out, and I was a little more grounded in who I was. And she gave me the driving force. She gave me my motivation to go to school and get an undergrad degree in psychology and a master's degree in counseling. And I was proud of that. I was really proud of that, because I never felt I could accomplish something so huge, and yet I did. And I was trying so hard to be the best mom I could be for her. And I had all these conversations with her that nobody had with me about consent and what it means to be a female and to honor who she is. And I just didn't want her to have any of those experiences that I had that caused me so much suffering, so much pain, so much confusion about who I was, and so much shame just buried deep inside of me. And so she allowed me to connect with my heart again, so I could love somebody and be safe in loving her. And I felt like things were going pretty well. So when she went into junior high, and we lived in the same community for a very long time, she loved science, she loved art. School came easy to her. She had friends. She was a little cautious and shy at first, but then she becomes silly and warm up to people quick. Huge heart for animals, for people that were not being treated properly. She had a huge heart, and she was so connected to it. So when she went to high school, this is very much the Reader's Digest version. So when she went to high school and she was introduced to new friends and trying to find her way, just a couple months into her high school experience, my daughter was raped by 4 males, and a photo was taken. That photo became circulated through her community, through beyond the community. Horrible things were being said to her. So of course I went into survival mode. I went into, this is the worst case scenario that could ever happen to my child. trying to get her the help she needed through therapy and through the police and accountability for what had happened to her, and trying to get the photo down. And for 17 months, I watched my daughter just struggle, switch schools, try to get back up, only to be met with a photo again or someone harassing her. And she just needed some time from her trauma to see that life could get better. And unfortunately, after 17 months, in a moment, in an act of impulsiveness, out of anger, frustration, because every time she tried to get back up, it was sitting right under the surface, and my daughter ended up dying by suicide. And I know that it was something that she regretted the moment after she initiated that act. So three days in the hospital watching her slowly slip away put me on a completely different trajectory and path. So I already had like 17 months of really just barely floating, trying to get justice, trying to get her help, trying to hold our family together. It was just me and my 3 girls. And those were the worst times of my life, or so I thought. And then she left. And that was a whole nother new firestorm. The media showed up, and I became her voice, and all of a sudden all the fears I had around public speaking were gone, and my mission and my purpose suddenly was to speak about what happened to Rehtaeh and what consent means and what it doesn't mean, and just the harassment and mental wellness, suicide awareness. So all of a sudden I was at the forefront and speaking about these things to the media and across the country on shows and in front of thousands of people in auditoriums. And that is not something I ever planned for my life, nor I wanted to, or was I ever even a person to be in the forefront of something like that. I usually hid most of my stuff, kept my pain to myself. So there I was, suddenly almost outside of myself. And eventually, because of that pain and that deep spiraling every day, there was no way possible I thought anything could get better. My life was ruined. How am I going to parent my children? And the spiral of that pain every day when I put my feet on the ground was so debilitating that all of the pain started showing up in my body physically. And then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and going for a walk or anything was just so painful in my body, because emotionally, it's our body that holds emotions, and my nervous system was just on fire. I was in a hyper arousal state and completely exhausted all the time. So how do you go from that to being able now to help other people move through their pain, to connect to their inner resources, to show yourself radical self-love and compassion? So that's what I had to do. And it came in a moment, like, I just thought, I'm just not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. What am I going to do? And in that moment, a voice came in so loud and so clear. And you might call that your inner voice, your inner knowing, guidance, God, source, the universe. It doesn't matter to me what you call it, as long as you trust it. And that voice came in and said loud and clear, you're right. You have been through so much in your life that you've managed to put the pieces together, but this is going to take you down. Because I felt like I failed. That I put everything 110% into being the best version of a mom, of being everything I needed to be for her, and then my other children too. And that it just didn't work out for me. So I was giving up. That voice, and I've heard it many times before, at different times in my life, our inner guidance, our soul speaking to us, and I ignored it. Not always. But this time it had my attention, and I said, I don't know what to do here. Because none of my coping mechanisms were working anymore. I was collapsing in the most public places sometimes, on the sidewalk, just dropping to my knees and crying in a grocery store, being flooded with images and thoughts and feelings, emotions that I had no idea what to deal with because I never felt that before. Not like that. So I said, you know what? That voice said, you have to be so kind to yourself right now. And you have to step back on a spiritual path. And because of my desperation, and because I knew that there was a door closing in on me, that the walls were closing in on me, and there was a crack of light there, and I needed to reach through and surrender, because I didn't have anything left. And then I surrendered to, okay, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what any of that means. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but okay. So at first I thought kindness was soaking in the tub, and it is. And resting when I needed to. And that is also kindness. But after a few months went by, I started some yoga. The voice came back in because I was feeling really guilty a lot. Maybe I didn't do enough. Maybe I wasn't a good mom. Maybe. Should've, would've, could've's. But what happened next was that inner guidance system said, yeah, you're being kind to yourself. But what about those thoughts? So I had to start really becoming the witness to those thoughts. And trusting that every day I'd be guided. And it wasn't easy and it took years. But what's the alternative? A lifetime of suffering? I sit here today in front of you with so much gratitude and love for my life. When my feet hit the ground now, they hit the ground every day, thanking the day for another day. So at some point in my journey, it was little steps. And this is what I teach people now in my programs, my one-on-one, in my spiritual sessions and practices that I share with others, is that you just have to show up each day. You don't have to know the whys, but you have to make that commitment to yourself. And there's no way possible I could have ever predicted that I would be in this place that I am now. I don't feel sorry for myself anymore. I don't feel like, poor me. I really don't. I feel blessed. Do I feel sad? Still, of course. I miss my child. Yes. But at some point along my journey, and it's been 8 years, 8 years, somewhere along that journey, I decided, and it wasn't a conscious choice at a moment in time, like some of the things I talk about. There are specific moments in time. But at some point, my transcendence of who I was to become had to be parallel to the love and the loss. So they had to, for it to really make a huge difference in my life and every life I touch, the transcendence, my transformation, had to be that big. And it's bigger than I ever thought possible. I just started living at first for the moments, looking for moments. But now looking back, I've not only moved through this big trauma, but when I look back at other things that happened in my life, they don't have impact on me. They don't hold me prisoner anymore. I'm not afraid of my emotions. I'm not afraid of what comes up. I greet my emotions like my friends because they are my friends. They live within me and they are part of me. So why would I ignore them? Why would I shun them? Things that happen to me, when we take shame out of the closet and we bring it out, the shame disappears. So we're caught up in all these emotions, we're trapped. But when we set ourselves free and we connect deeply to our heart and we show ourselves love for whatever thoughts, whatever program, whatever that mantra of that's said horrible things to us for so many years. I know that's not true. And I know that my mind will lie to me and take me places. And even though I don't have an attachment to things that happened to me when I was younger anymore, whether my mom was the kind of mom I needed, or whether these things, the core wound will still be triggered. The core wound is something I still tend to. When somebody says something, or I feel betrayed or not understood by someone, and it hits that wound, I stay present for that. But I have to pay attention to where the mind wants to take me in those situations. And it's practice. And I'm always going to be learning, growing, and evolving. And that, to me, is the spice of life. And that's what I want to share with you, is that no matter where you are right now, you don't have to stay there. And it will maybe feel horrible, and that's okay. Because you're not going to stay there. But if you make the commitment to yourself and you start showing up for your beautiful life, the life that your soul chose for you to live, there will be changes. So that's my intention for my channel. That's my intention for you. Is that I know you have your own inner guidance system. And I know that the more you get out of your head and into your heart and into your body, the clearer that will become for you. You'll hear that much louder than you hear the voices in your head. And even some days when you go off track and you kind of spiral away, because you plant intentions, because your intentions of healing are paramount to who you are, you'll be reminded to come back. And our thoughts and our feelings aren't these big scary monsters that we think they are. When we greet them and we acknowledge them and we listen to them because they're demanding to be heard anyways. That's such a beautiful love story between you and you. So that's why I wanted to come in and share a little bit more of what this channel's about, of what I hope for you. And I'll be giving some practical tips, tools, and things along the way to help you. Because a spiritual journey, a soul's journey, is full of practical things that we have to do every day. So when we set up our daily rituals, we have to make sure that we have ways to nourish ourselves, to soothe ourselves, time for ourselves. People say, I don't have time for me. You have to make time for you. This is your life. This is your one beautiful life. And even when it doesn't feel beautiful, that's okay. That is life. Life isn't just chasing the snippets of joy. Life is about embracing all that comes our way. So thank you for joining me on this channel. I will definitely be in weekly. Please hit subscribe. Please share it out. I'd like to reach as many people as I possibly can. And if you found this channel, it's because you're meant to be here and you're meant to hear these messages at this place and time right now. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you're not having a wonderful day, to honor it, to honor that you're not having a wonderful day, and to still be there with that feeling. It's okay. Take care.